And now, time for weekly show with a passionate India lover, chairman of ITV Gold and Parikh Worldwide Media. Get ready for loving sharing from physician, philanthropist, publisher, and India advocate in this week.
Welcome and namaskar, and it's that time of the week when we have the honor of welcoming Dr. Sudhir Parikh, Padma Shri recipient, to our show this week with Dr. Sudhir Parikh right here on ITV Gold. Namaskar, Doctor.
Namaskar.
Let's get back and let's have this question. Like, we added a new conflict in Israel-Iran war, which is escalating too fast. And President is leaving G7.
Already left, yeah.
To get into a situation room. So tell me, where are we headed?
Well, I think, I hope that they escalate the whole thing and come back to negotiating table. Because this is not the way to, whether you're right or wrong, this is not the way to tell somebody to stop. Because if you do that, then it doesn't work. Because no sovereign country likes to be dictated by other country, right? So it's a general philosophy. But I think Israel and USA is right that there should not be more country should not get nuclear power. Because if you get nuclear armament, then I think world becomes very unstable and very dangerous. And therefore, I think, of course, you can have nuclear plant and you can have nuclear know-how, but only for civilian purpose. It means for the for the energy and those kind of thing, and not for weapons. So I think fundamentally what Israel is saying is correct, because that can destabilize whole Middle East if the two country has. Israel already has nuclear. Nuclear armament, though it's not declared, but everybody knows that Israel is nuclear power. But we don't want a second nuclear power in that small area of the world, which is oil and everything is so important. So I think they are right, but there is always a way to negotiate this thing, because even it may take 10 years, 20 years, or even the whole generation, but that's only way you can stop somebody to not move forward.
So, but do you think is US kind of supporting Israel in the background, and does that achieve the objective of preventing Iran from getting nuclear?
Yes, of course. USA is supporting Israel for this war against Iran. It is known fact. Even though before even they started, Israel attacked Iran, USA knew about it. So it's not secret. And because USA has fundamental promise to Israel to protect the Israel existence or Israel well-being. So obviously, USA will do everything to help Israel against this war. But less USA gets involved is better for USA and other part of the Middle East.
And President Trump, he commented on Russia not being in G7 or G8. So would that help in aligning the global agenda, or is there too much conflict there? No,
Russia was on G8 for a while. And then they removed Russia. I think Biden or someone, or Obama, somebody removed Russia from the G8, and again it becomes G7. But I think Russia should be there, and even China should be there. Because they are the very huge economic power, and they control almost 1/5 of the population. So I think they should have. Then you can have worldwide some kind of more meaningful policies.
And I'm sure you must have heard in the news that President Trump, his family is expanding into Trump Mobile. So, and this comes after his controversial gains in the crypto markets. So tell me, where does this lead to ethical standards for the highest office?
I think I personally think that this does not give good optics, and as long as president is in the power, his family should not be involved in the business, because then indirectly they get benefit out of indirect benefit out of the presidency, and that is not good. It's unethical in the strictest term. So I think I don't like it. It's too much conflict of the interest.
All right, and let's get back to, Prime Minister Modi. He just landed in Canada for the G7 meetings. And, there is so much going on, wars, economic turmoil, Trump's tariffs. So tell me, what do we think are the top 3 priorities for this summit?
Well, summit is meant for those G7 countries, not for any other countries. All the other prime ministers or presidents are all invited people there.
Okay.
So they are not really making any. They are not part of the policy making, or they don't attend the policy making event either. They are just invited, and just at the end, in general, they get informed about what they decided. So, but it's good to be there. It's good to be that Prime Minister went there and become a part of the world leaders. But unfortunately, this time, before, I think Trump did not meet the Prime Minister at all. Because when Prime Minister came, and before that, he left for back home.
Oh, okay.
Because of this war situation. So unfortunately, there is no meeting between Trump and our Prime Minister Modi. But I think it is good for our country that PM Modi is there, and this is not the first time. But even Manmohan Singh used to go and used to invited in G7 meeting too. All Prime Minister gets invited because our size of the country, population, plus our growing economy.
And, I'm sure you must have heard with Reserve Bank's recent rate cuts and India possibly crossing 8% growth rates. So tell me, is India a ray of hope with all this chaos in the world?
Yes, India is a ray of hope, because India has population, 45% of the population of India is young population. They are well-educated population. So India is really a ray of hope. And hopefully, government of the day should do more for job creation and encourage the entrepreneurs and do the more manufacturing and so forth. Then India will really a great country for and great power for a world even.
And also, let's talk about the Air India crash, which was the sad news, and it's still,
Right.
going through things in Gujarat, and they have been things after one thing after another still going on. So tell me, is air travel a concern now in the world these days?
I don't think that air travel is the most safe travel in the world. Is much death happens on the car travel rather than the air travel. So you don't have to worry about that. But of course, the standard of the maintenance of the aircraft is very critical. And there should not be any kind of, we are not saying that it was not maintained properly, but what I'm saying is, in general, the aircraft has to be well maintained and very disciplined way of maintaining. And certain airports should be out of populated area. And then they have to have buffer between the runway and the residents, or people who were live. Otherwise, what happened that this plane crashed into the medical college where I graduated from, and I know exactly where that building is. I used to live there as a postgraduate student in the same building.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a kind of bad kind of feeling, that.
Absolutely.
And there are about 35 to 40, I think, doctors died there and more injured, and we don't know.
I'm sure there probably is more.
There is
which
more
not even
casualties,
coming.
yeah. So it is a very sad thing, yeah.
And I know, as you're talking about it, it definitely is very close to you personally, as you have seen everything,
Right,
and
right.
even the victims, like
Yes.
ex-chief minister of
Yeah,
Gujarat,
he was a
Mr.
very good
Rupani.
friend of mine personally, and I met him several times. And when he was chief minister, he helped us to pass the bill for thalassemia disease in the pregnancy, because in India no OBGYN used to do the thalassemia testing, and we made them to do it compulsory. To all OBGYN, and that was a great help, because in Gujarat, particularly in the Saurashtra, thalassemia incidence is very high, 8%. And well-known celebrity has thalassemia, like Amitabh Bachchan has thalassemia minor, but what's her name? His wife doesn't have any thalassemia gene, so they're okay. But every thalassemia family has to have genetical blood test. It's a blood test. It's a simple blood test should be done to and two thalassemia major husband and wife should not have children. Otherwise, those children are, in spite of all the treatment, they don't survive beyond 15 years of age.
Wow. So, talking about this Air India crash, would you want to give any message to the families of the victims?
Well, dear friends, our heartfelt condolences to all those victim of the Air India flight and the victim of what happens in that accident. So we pray for them. Our prayers are with them and their families. And we should, after investigation, we'll know what happened. But once we know what happened, we should learn some lesson from that and make sure that it doesn't happen again. And that's my message to everyone. But I can also tell you that air travel is still very safe. It's much safer than anything else. So please don't afraid to fly in the airplane.
Since you were talking about the air travel, so tell me, how does this impact recovery of Air India globally, and can Tata's help recover this lost glory?
No, I think it is little lost glory, but it's time heals everything, right? After 5 years from today, you and me, we will not talk about this. Because this kind of accident happened in the past, bigger than this one. Air Korea happened, and our Air India in 80s, we were flying from Toronto to India, and they blast. I mean, it was terrorist attack, and the whole plane fell apart in the sea, in Atlantic Ocean. So that happens. I mean, but I think we should learn a lesson after each such incident.
And what about the destiny playing a role in this? The lone survivor of this 11A, literally walking out with his hand, cell phone in the hand, and there are no other survivors.
Well, I mean, that also, they are investigating whole thing, how that happened. And we'll see when the report comes, because it's too early or premature to say anything about or comment on that.
All right. So let's move on to the rapid fire round. And I have with me Siddharth from Atlanta. He's asking, will Trump be able to convince Iran towards aligning with his objectives? Yes or no?
Well, Iran being a very crafty, very smart negotiators, they will say that, okay, let's negotiate, and that way they can stop bleeding on their country. And then whether they will agree at the end, we don't know.
All right. So we have next is from Atif from New Jersey. He wants to know, will Pakistan be put on grey list again? Yes or no?
No. Grey list of who? Who's grey list?
This is a question from Atif.
No, but grey list, of course, Pakistan is always blacklisted from India, on the India's list. But Pakistan, in the United Nations right now, they made Pakistan as a vice chairman of the terrorism. It means they are the watchdog of the terrorists in the world. Okay. So, it's very contradictory thing, right?
All right. Okay, so that takes care of our rapid fire today. But before you give out this week's message, I want to remind our viewers that you can follow Dr. Sudhir Parikh on Facebook at Dr. Parikh, and you can also follow him on Twitter. The handle is SUDPARIKH. Please go ahead.
Dear friends, it's very sad news that what happened in Ahmedabad, India. Big jumbo jet Dreamliner could not stay in the air and could not fly up. Within a few minutes, it succumbed to a big ball of the fire, and all the passengers except one passenger, they all died instantly there. And not only that, but that plane kind of stuck to the building, which is very close to the airport runway, which is my own medical school building, where we studied and we stayed as a student. So it's very, very, very disheartening and very, very kind of. We are very sad to know this, that this is the building where we have some memories about those part of the civil hospital. And hopefully now black box are recovered. So, and all the experts from not only from India but in England and from the America are there, and I'm sure they will come to a good conclusion and will find out why it happened. And after they find out, we must learn lesson out of it and implement that whatever happened should not happen again. So after saying that, we'll see you next week. Till then, goodbye.